What is up, party people? I don't know if we've got anybody in the chat yet or in the viewership yet, but welcome. I'm Fred Rojas, and today we are going to be doing the illustrious Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy stream. Just for the record, my placement of, and I'm sorry for, I'm not much of a streamer, so you're going to notice me looking around. I've got like the chat over here, and I've got other stuff over here, and then I've got you guys, so just bear with me for all this. But the reason you can't hear anything is actually by design. It is because I have this set up so that you're not going to be able to hear anything until I click into it and start playing the game. So, many of you probably watched my test stream already because I get the feeling that the handful of people who are interested in this stuff are kind of universally interested in it. So I just want to mention a couple of things real quick on the offset, especially if you're new to this thing or just hopping in or whatever. First and foremost, I do a show called Retroactive. You can find it on Spotify. Retroactive Podcast is where I talk about a lot of this stuff, and I'm really big into retro gaming, Magic the Gathering, stuff like that. As you can see, I'm wearing a Night Trap t-shirt. Night Trap's going to be our game club and things like that. So if you want to come there, go ahead, hop in, check it out, enjoy it, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so Final Fantasy, huge video game franchise, obviously, spanning, 16 mainstream titles with many more on the way, and God knows how many remakes and side stories and all that kind of stuff. So massive, massive franchise. Then we get Magic the Gathering. I've been playing Magic the Gathering since pretty much its inception. We got in at Unlimited. And when I say we, I mean me and my friends. What was that, 93? I think it kind of coincided with the release of Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcades because most of your card shops that played Magic had an arcade machine. So when these two get together, right, it's like a huge deal. It's a wild, crazy, huge deal, which is, massive. And to put it bluntly, from a cardboard standpoint, from a tangible box standpoint, this is why I'm kind of sticking to Arena. It is an insane investment. You have standard play boxes, which usually sell for about 120, 130 on standard retail. That's if you were to just like walk into a card shop and buy them. If you buy wholesale, you're usually getting them for about 115, 118. This doesn't include tax and shipping and all that. And then if you buy a case, you get them for about 100. For contrast, Final Fantasy selling for about, I think now it's 200 for a play box, and it's now only 30 packs rather than 36 packs. And I want to say that MSRP, like suggested retail price, was like 170. So that's a significant markup. And if you bought a case, I still think you only go down to like 165, 160. Like they didn't really care if you bought in bulk because there's not enough product to go around. But that's not the real story. The real story is all the fetch cards with the alt art and the opportunity to get like the 77 chocobos and things like that. So that, and the big deal with that one is that they are only found in collector boxes. Collector boxes are only 12 packs, but you get a lot of rares and fetch cards and chase cards that are worth a lot more money. So financially, they seem to make themselves worth it, even though you only get 12 packs with a bunch of rares. What is interesting, what is ultimately very interesting about all this is that well, at first they were going for like 400. That's still a little high for a collector's box. A collector's box usually sells for between like 250, sometimes 300. I think Lord of the Rings started at 300, but they spike up, right? And so Final Fantasy kept spiking up. And eventually when the set came out, I think they were sitting at $750 a box, maybe $800 a box. And people were saying that's still like a really good deal. And I thought that was hilarious. And so when they were opening the boxes, with all these, it's showing right now that with singles, the boxes are not worth it to buy. How do we say this? To buy and open. Like, you're never going to make the money on your singles that you do. The exception being the collector's boxes, because if you get one of those fetch chocobos, $30, $40, $50,000 is what they're selling for. So yeah, that can be a big thing. But your chances of winning that are pretty much the same chances of winning like a $50,000 lottery ticket. So not really worthwhile. And a lottery ticket only costs you $1, where one of these boxes will cost you, used to be $800, now they're sitting at like $1,200. So this huge Aya tribe just goes to say, this is an incredible set. I look forward to seeing it. I haven't done a whole lot of research on it, and that's what today's about. Let's get into this set. Let's talk about these cards. Let's look at these cards and see what people think. Let's open a bunch of packs. Let's do a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna open with some pack openings, because people love pack openings, and this is a financially less expensive way to do stuff like that. So I'm gonna move myself over here. I'm gonna shrink myself down. We don't need me to be too big. You're not here to see me anyway. Okay, so there's that. And let's move over here. And just for those wondering, yes, we are definitely going to play some games and stuff as well. Okay. So first and foremost, let's come over here to packs. Actually, let's talk for a moment about Arena. So Arena, free-to-play version. Anyone who joins up, and I'm assuming Wizards is expecting a lot out of this, anyone who joins up gets 3 packs right off the bat. So that can be a good way. You can buy packs with gold or gems. Gold is really your daily stuff. Anybody who's played a free-to-play game, which I'm assuming most of you have, but if not, I'll briefly explain it. You get, 250 gold / XP. That's towards your battle pass or your mastery pass, as they call it, for every win. Then there's daily benefits. It depends on what you're going for. In my case, mine is cast 30 white or blue spells, and I'll get 750 gold. So you get a decent amount of gold. And if we go over to the store, I think it's 1,000 a pack. So it is. So it's 1,300 a pack, actually. Wow, I didn't know there was a premium price. That's interesting. Very interesting. As you can see, I have 104, though. So with this amount, I can buy big bundles, right? I could buy a 90-pack bundle, or I could buy a 45-pack bundle. And just so folks know, this is one of the most interesting things about Magic the Gathering Arena. I think it's a good thing versus a bad thing, but I will pay the same amount to buy 2 45-pack bundles than I will for 90-pack bundles. And even with the bonus cards, I get 1 with a 45-pack, so when I buy 2, I'll get the same amount of bonus cards as well. And Herald's Horn is not exactly something to jump all over. And also, for those of you in the chat, I see there's a couple of you there. Welcome. Hey, what's up, Scoop? Let me know. I've tried to adjust the volume, but as we get into some gameplay, it might be a little too quiet, might be a little too loud. I'm not sure. You should expect the music to be a little quiet right now. It's a little quiet for me, myself. In fact, let's pump it up a little. We'll see if that has any effects on the stream. I don't think it will, but maybe. But let me know, because when I did the test stream, I was blowing out my own voice with the sound of the game, which is what we don't want. I think a lot of people will argue that, and Jason, I see your question there, or Scoop, I'll get to it in a moment. But yeah, just want to make sure that, like, if anything, like, this should probably be quieter, the game itself, rather than me. But, so yes, Scoop, this is somewhat premium price. No, actually, I'm mistaken. I thought it was premium pricing. It is not. This is standard Arena pricing, but you might be thrown off because of the Mythic pack over here. So a Mythic pack, I think, has a higher probability of rares and Mythics. And so 1,300 is completely standard for a Mythic pack. Your standard pack is 1,000 gold. That's completely standard. And then, like I was telling when you joined, it's really funny. There's like no benefit to buying in bulk, really. These big packs, there is a mild benefit to it because you get like this fetch card. But it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, so that's the way it works. I will probably buy one of these bundles because, as you can see, I've got plenty of gold waiting. Gems are something you actually get through like playing games or through tough currency. But yeah, I typically only spend gems on the Mastery Pass. So let's talk about that for a moment. The Mastery Pass you can buy. It is 3,400 gems, which is, I think, $15. So most people, the first time they get a Mastery Pass, they buy it for $15. This top row is what you get for just the standard free Mastery Pass. The bottom row is what you get if you have the paid one. And as with most passes, you can go all the way to the end and then at the last minute pay for it and you'll unlock everything. Typically what you'll get is just every couple of levels you get a free pack. You do get these orbs, which I'll show off in a moment. That's for like skins for fun little tchotchkes. But if you look at it, you really get a very scant amount of orbs and a handful of packs. Like that's really what you're getting out of the free pass. And that's fair. Once you get the Mastery Pass, so right off the bat, I get Cloud as an avatar. I get this cool Cloud Final Fantasy VII sleeve, like right, the iconic sleeve. They know what they're doing. And I get this cute little Chocobo who's going to be my partner along the way for a lot of our items today. And you'll see that like this Chocobo, this is the next one. It says Mastery Pass level 40. So it's trying to get me to level 40. You don't level up any faster, but like you'll see, like I got this sleeve for Tidus and I got an orb for level 1. I get this sleeve for Sharalayan, the Nation of Scholars, and I hope I pronounced that properly. I probably didn't. And I get another orb. Here you get like mythic cards. You get some extra packs. Here's the fun ones. You do get packs from other sets. That's another thing they will frequently scatter in. This one at 14 is interesting. It's a draft token. So usually we'll get to those when I play a draft game later today, which I will be doing. But those are, a little on the expensive side. I want to say they cost 10,000 gold or like 2,000 gems. And again, I'm a gold guy. But yeah, you get a free one for this. And you get packs, which you're opening like draft booster packs. You do get to keep the items in most of the cases. In any of the ones I play, you get to keep the cards you earn. And then if you win, you can win back a bunch of gems. In fact, many times on my free token, I've won back winning multiple rounds because I usually get seasoned with them. And I'll win back, 1,000, 1,200, sometimes 2,200 of my gems. So that's cool. Let's see what we get here. We got all these fun little sleeves that we'll get. You can only get those through the paid pass. And then it looks like here is our pet. Okay, so here's the next one. We get this Chocobo Orb, the Mind Sculptor companion. Here's where you get some gems, so that's definitely useful to kind of help your way back into the battle pass. But unlike Fortnite or something, you'll never get enough gems to buy yourself another battle pass. Keep in mind, we get 600 here, and I think there's only one other one, and it's 3,400. So, let's see what we got here. We get some gold bundles. There's your fun Chocobo the Awakened. There's another 600 gemmer. What's this here? Ooh, here's a Sephiroth sleeve, so you can put those on the backs of your cards. Sleeves are definitely an option. And then looks like this is a shorter battle pass, so it's probably only going to be a month or two. I'm not quite sure why they're doing it with this set. It's a Universe Beyond set, though, even though it's super popular. And so once you get to level 50, you're kind of done. I don't think I'm going to have a hard time getting to level 50. And up here, where there's nothing shown right here, usually when you're within 30 days, they tell you. So I'm going to guess this is a 60-day pass. Then there's orbs. You get orbs as you play. Looks like right now, these are mostly sleeves and alt card art. So I've got 6. So we got some fun ones. We've got Squall, we've got Zidane, we've got Yuna, Balthier, Furion. What is this? Y'shtola, Vincent. I only know like a handful of these people, obviously. Let's see if I can play this game, right? Final Fantasy. Is there any way to earn gems? There is, and I'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, we've got some fun stuff. We've got, alt cards for Cloud, Sephiroth. A lot of what this is the same art, but as you can see, it's kind of wiggling around. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff to be earned. Sorry if you don't like quick scrolling, but there's some cool stuff, and I get to just pick what I want to buy. I don't have to buy right away, so I'm not going to right off the bat. I don't have anyone I absolutely love in Final Fantasy that's here. But to answer Scoop's question, so gems. Obviously, in the Mastery Pass, you'll get some gems as you go. Excuse me. The other way you get gems is by playing, and it's usually with these events. So there's all these events that exist, and you pay to get in, but you pay big, you win big. So here's a good example. Here's one we'll be doing later, the quick draft. So this kind of explains it. You pick one card at a time from rotating draft packs. The cards will be added to your collection, so you keep them. Cost 5,000 gold to get in, or 750 gems. And then with each, and you play until you lose 3 times. So if I win none, I will get 50 gems back and 1 pack. And then you keep going 100, 200, 300, 450, 650, 850, and then eventually 950 and 2 packs. Once you get 7 wins, they're going to kick you out for saying you've won too much. Believe it or not, they do that. On your 7th win, you just go back with your cards. Now, if you really want to go higher, and this is that token that I was talking about that's useful, there's Sealed. Sealed is where you literally open multiple packs. This is gems only, but as you see, you can win. So you can pay 2,000 and win back 2,200. So you can get your money back and then some, and you do get 6 packs. You keep all the cards. You also get packs with this. So, you know, there's different ones. I think the Premier and Traditional Draft can be bought with gold. This is the one I probably do the most often. So it's 3 booster packs. You share them around. You and 10 other players just play and look for it. You play till 3 losses, and you can win back 2,200. So you can turn 10,000 gold. If you're really good at picking stuff and you're really good at winning, you can turn 10,000 gold into 2,200 gems in 6 packs, which I have done quite a few times. But mind you, I've played a lot of games, so it's not a very common thing, but it is definitely a thing. All right, ladies and gents, let's get into some of the cards. I have not gotten to see a lot of those cards. So this is your collection. You often won't have as many as me, just so people know. I bought a bundle, which gave me 5 of these packs, which are just like a bunch of really awesome cards. They're called gold packs. They can have Final Fantasy, they can have others. And then I did get 50 Final Fantasy packs. You can buy those before a set comes out. Cost $50, and I think I got a couple other things like sleeves and companions and stuff. But I really bought it to pay $50 to get 50 packs, and the 5 gold packs are a bonus. So that was why I did it. Way cheaper than a Final Fantasy box, obviously, but yeah. So let's open some Final Fantasy packs and see what we see. Get to know this set a little better. You get 6 cards. Your rare is always hidden. So let's see here. We have Flash of Light and Slash of Light. Slash of Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of equipment you control to target creatures. So that's total number of creatures and weapons to any one target. You zap them. Grand Pulse Ochu. And you know what? Grand was saying you can see what Final Fantasy they are based off of the bottom of the card or something, but I don't see that. Wonder if that's only in the actual cards, not in the digital cards. We'll see. And maybe Gren will join us a little bit later. But anyway, this guy's a 1 for a 1/1 Death Touch, which means if he does any damage to a creature, he kills it. Until end of turn, this creature gets +1/+1 for each permanent card in your graveyard. Very useful, but as you can see, it's 8. That's very expensive. You'll be at least the 8th turn before you can do something like that, and his chances of survival are way thinner. Plus, when you go to use that ability, someone can hit him for 1 beforehand, because Magic is a big series of last in, first out, and he'll die before he gets big. This is a common thing you'll get, which is just a wild card. Here's my wild cards right now. I have 400 commons, 419 uncommons, 34 rare, and 31 mythic. This is so I can go into the collection, which we'll show off in a minute, and create my own cards. Basically, give myself the cards I want. Opera Love Song. Final Fantasy VI, anyone? Choose 1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. That means put them aside. You may play those cards until your next end step. Okay, so just so you know, anything that goes in exile from your library, when it says something like you may play those until your next end step, that means they stay in exile, playable, but then when your next end step ends, anything that hasn't been played is exiled, aka removed from the game for this game. So, or you can do 1 or 2 target creatures. That means you can do it on 1 or 2. Get +2/+0 until end of turn. So it just buffs a creature. Let's see. You can ask me. I'll have 80% chance of getting it right. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to try to see where these are all from. Dreams of Laguna. Dreams of Laguna. Let's see. Don't tell me yet, Scoop. I'm going to guess Dreams of Laguna is... No, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm saying Shinra. I'm saying Final Fantasy VII. But anyway. Surveil 1. So what I do like about Arena is if you mouse over it, it tells you what the ability is. So if you look right up there. Actually, I see that I'm in the way. So let me see about moving myself down here to the Reveal All button. Because for these cards, it's probably better that I'm down here. Okay. So Surveil 1. So that means look at the top card of your library. You can drop it in the graveyard or put it back on top. So that just means you ditch it if you don't want it. And then draw a card. So basically, if you see the card you like and you know it's good, you know you're drawing it. You basically are putting it back in your hand. Flashback means you can play it from your graveyard. It gets removed from the game or exiled. And but yeah, you basically get to play the spell twice. Undercity Dire Rat. This is a rat. The Dire Rat could be from a bunch of stuff. I don't know if there is a specific one. So you pay 2 for a 2/2 Rat Tail. When this creature dies, create a treasure token. Okay. There are purposes for this card, but being a common, there's not a lot of initial purposes until you kind of start to craft a deck. Let's see, and then the Prima Vista. Looks like a flying airship to me. That could apply to anything with Sid in it, which basically means anything. FF8 for Laguna. Thank you very much. Okay. Wasn't a huge FF8 fan. The Prima Vista. Okay. Whenever you cast a non-creature, so it flies, which means it can only be blocked by other flyers. And if there's only a creature on the ground, unless it has what's called Reach, which is an ability that allows ground creatures to block flyers, he's basically getting in over your head. You'll also see that it's a vehicle. Vehicles need a crew. So that means, and it even says so up here, tap any creatures you control that have a total power of 2 or more, which means a creature that has a power of 2 or greater, or multiple creatures that add up to a power of 2 or greater. And the vehicle becomes an artifact creature. So basically, you're not risking those creatures. This comes into play. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, that's your upper right-hand corner, I'm going to assume you have a familiarity with Magic, the Prima Vista becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Okay. So the benefit of this is you don't have to crew it with people. You can, if you happen to cast a 4 mana spell, it becomes a creature anyway, and that's why it's got the 5/3 on there. Okay, what's our rare? Oh, I'm gonna need someone's help with this one. That's you, bro. Let me know, who is Zodiarch Umbral God? Costs 5 black mana for a 5/5 indestructible, which you can see in there. Means anything that says destroy doesn't destroy it. If it's a creature, it can't be destroyed by damage either. So it can take as much damage, and it can be destroyed by as many spells, and it doesn't go anywhere. This is typical of legendary creature gods. Gods are common in Magic, and they are legendary, though, which means you can only have 1 on the board at a time. You can have up to 4 in your deck, but you can only have 1 out on the board at a time. If you cast a second one, you have to kill one of them. When Zodiarch enters, and no, you can't do the thing of like, oh, but he's got indestructible, so when I kill him, no, he dies. Indestructible does not protect your creature against sacrifice, which means if you have to pick, let's say he's the only one on the board and they cast a spell that says you have to sacrifice a creature, he dies still. And it doesn't count towards anything that is like the rules of legendary creatures, which is technically considered a sacrifice as well, or anything that removes it from the game. Oh, and I see where Gren was talking about. If you look just under the indestructible, it says Final Fantasy 14. Ha ha ha. Do you see that right under the indestructible? Oh, what a fool I am. All right, very good. When Zodiarch enters, each player sacrifices half the non-god creatures they control of their choice, rounded down, which means they have to have at least 2 to sacrifice a creature. Whenever a player sacrifices a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Zodiarch. Okay, so his idea is you're playing somebody with a bunch of creatures out, drop it, boom, nails him, and then he gets bigger, and he can't die. So what's this one from? Final Fantasy 9. Would not have guessed that, but I bet the Prima Vista is a specific one. This one's from Final Fantasy 12. 12, okay. 8 as indicated. 1. Slash of Light is from 1. 13. Grand Pulse Ochu. I played 13, but I barely remember it. And of course, I was right on Final Fantasy 6. Everybody remembers the opera, right? Okay, we're going to keep opening some packs for a little bit here. Baron Airship Kingdom. That's from Final Fantasy 9. Everybody tells me, as a big fan of Final Fantasy 1, 4, and 6, that I need to play 9. And for the record, I've only played part of 4. I need to go back and replay 4. We got an Ochu again. We got another common wild one. Here's Fang Fearless Lassie. That means 13. Without even having to look, I know about the Lassies, the Pulse Lassies, and all that fun stuff. So she's a warrior. She's 3 for a 2/3 black card. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard. She's also legendary, so you can only have 1 on the board at a time. I would assume there's going to be a lot of legendaries because of these main characters. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, so whenever you pull a card out of your graveyard, you could play it flashback like I did, where there's many cards that remove cards from your graveyard into exile. This ability, you draw a card and lose 1 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. And it melds with Vanille Cheerful Lassie. So you can even see the meld over here on the left. Melding a pair of cards results in a single combined permanent. Copies can't be melded. Okay, so you can't do like a token copy of her. But if you get Vanille Cheerful Lassie, then they will both merge together to become Ragnarok, Divine Deliverance. This is a big dog. 7/6 Vigilance, which means it doesn't tap to attack. Menace, which means at least 2 creatures must block it to block it. Trample, which means any damage it does beyond the toughness of the creatures blocking it will go over to the player character. Reach, which means it can block flying characters even though it doesn't fly. And Haste, which means it can attack the turn it comes out. And when Ragnarok dies, destroy target permanent and return target non-legendary permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that means you get to kill one of your opponent's things and bring one of your non-legendary things from your graveyard back into play. Here's Rabanastre, Royal City, Final Fantasy XII, the single-player MMO. No thank you. Fate of the Sun Christ, Final Fantasy XII again. This spell, so it's an instant for 5. Costs 2 less to cast if it targets a tapped creature. So if the creature happens to be tapped, turned sideways, then it's only 3 to come out, and it destroys a non-land permanent. This is destroy. This is one of those things where if it's indestructible, it won't do anything. But for most things, it would get rid of it. Send it to the graveyard. The Gold Saucer, obviously Final Fantasy VII. So what does the fun area of debauchery, shall we say? So we get a colorless mana, or we can pay 2 and tap it to flip a coin. If we win, we get a treasure token, which is just you sack it and you get a free mana of any color. Or you can pay 3, tap it, and get rid of 2 artifacts. Keep in mind, a treasure token does count as an artifact, so you can build those up to draw a card. So this is one of those things where this can be useful if you constantly need mana of any color, or you want to be drawing cards. This can be a useful land to throw in your deck as opposed to one of the main lands. We got the Earth Crystal. Earth Crystal's got to be from something. Final Fantasy III. First one with the job system. This is a legendary artifact. An artifact you only have 1 on the board at a time. Green spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So that won't take anything away from any green mana, but anything with a number costs 1 less. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature, twice that many are put on that creature instead. This is a common mechanic with green. Green likes to pump up creatures. You pay 6 and tap it to distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. Okay, so remember it says if 1 is going to be put on a creature you control, twice that many are put instead. So you can pay 6, tap this, and either give 2 +1/+1 counters to 1 creature, which it will double those, so it'll actually get 4, or you can put 1 on 2 different creatures and they'll get 2. So, interesting little card. Again, specified use case. All right, let's see here. We got Warrior's Sword. I should start talking about the art too. I do like some of this art. So Final Fantasy 1. It does have a job select. I love that the job system's in here. So when the equipment enters, create a colorless hero token and attach this to it. So you basically create the class and give the equipment to them. I love that that's in there, although the job system doesn't premiere until Final Fantasy 3. But the equipped creature gets +3/+2 and is a warrior in addition to its other types. Okay, so... And you can see it's 5 to equip it. So you have to pay 5 mana, which is a lot, to put it on an existing creature. But what you really want to do is just drop this thing for 4. You create a hero token. It's automatically attached to it. And that hero is a 1/1. So with its +3/+2, it will be a 4/3. Not too shabby. And then when that creature dies, you've got your warrior sword just sitting on the board to be put on something else. Not amazing. That's why it's a common, but not bad. Fight on, obviously Final Fantasy VII, given just the characters on screen. What is it? Aerith and Yuna? I'm going to screw that up. Anyway, so you pay 3. It's a black instant, so you can play it on your turn or really any time. And you return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Hand is an important distinction. Putting them on the board would be huge. Putting them in your hand, just useful, but not as impressive. Leporit Scout from Final Fantasy IX. It's a rabbit scout. It's 3 for a 3/2. Usually if you're paying X number of mana, so 3, and it's you expect at least like a 3/3. Unless it's like a 2/2 or something, a smaller one or a 1/1, but then it's got to have some crazy abilities. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So not that useful, except if you've got a deck that's all about making a bunch of creatures and then they either go away or something. But every turn you want to just like spit out a bunch of creatures, then this guy or gal can get bigger. Get another free common wild card. Now we got a town greeter. Looks like I've gotten this one before. This is from Final Fantasy 1. It's a Cornelia greeter. Human citizen 2 for a 1/1. When this creature enters, mill 4 cards, which means take the top 4 cards of your deck, put them in your graveyard. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. If you put a town card into your hand this way, you gain life. So there you go. So for a job deck, you think you would get all the same kind of duels. Not quite sure what you mean by duels. I do see how you say like DUALS, so like dupes. I don't know enough about the job system from what I've seen from these cards yet to suggest that you would need to specifically go like warrior or mage or something like that. Think about like a regular Final Fantasy game. It might be advantageous to have all kinds of different classes. You can definitely make specific decks. Let's put the job system aside for a minute, such as like a deck that's all rabbits or a deck that's all humans or something like that. Like 2 jobs. There you go. Okay. So like dual jobs. You could not. I think that's really up to you. I don't think you're going to gain a whole lot outside of specialized cards that are really going to care what kind of job you have. But if you're talking about play style, oh yeah. Like a deck full of mages is going to play very different. And this was true before Final Fantasy came along, than a group of warriors, and stuff like that. And you can balance them out. But even like Final Fantasy, sometimes it's really cool to have like 4 mages versus a mage, a fighter, a cleric, things like that. Lunatic Pandora. This is from Final Fantasy 8. Surveil 1, so you pay 2. Oh, it's a legendary artifact. So what I do like about it is it's 1. So it's a first turn drop, and then you've got it when you need it. You can pay 2 and tap it to Surveil 1. That means look at the top card. You can throw it in your graveyard or let it stay there. And then sacrifice it to destroy target non-land permanent. 6 is a little on the expensive side. The use cases for this are a little slim, which is probably why it's a common. But it's an interesting thing. It's also legendary. You'd want to have more than one of these on the board, probably. Ash, Princess of Dalmasca, which is a Final Fantasy 12 character. She's legendary, as we could expect. And she's a human rebel noble. So this is what I'm talking about. I wouldn't say with jobs, but like with classes. Like there's a lot of different classes. You could have a deck that's all about humans, all about rebels, all about nobles, or some combination of those. So she's 3 for a 3/2. That's a pretty decent one. I would prefer a 3/3, but okay. Whenever Ash attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So when it says look at the top 5 cards and you may reveal an artifact card, that means your opponent knows the artifact you put in your hand and it will always be visible to them. When you're playing a normal Magic game, you would just show it to them and then they could always ask to see it again if you needed to. In Arena, it's just going to be visible in their hand. Zeldinkt, Final Fantasy VIII. Got a lot of 8s here right now. Legendary creature. He's a human monk. He's a 0/3 for 3. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You can only play 1 land a turn. That can be useful. This is oftentimes one of the decks that you want a bunch of lands at a time would be red-green decks. So this is probably a very quintessential red-green card. Zeldinkt gets +1/+0 for each land you control. Well, we already know we'll probably have at least 3 lands when he comes out, so he's really a 3/3 if you think about it. The only reason they do stuff like this is there are reasons why you can lose lands. There are reasons why you could get him out without having that many lands and things like that. But by and large, that's what you can expect. At the beginning of your end step, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Okay, so he stops you from building up lands. There are reasons you may want to do that. We'll see this with the Chocobo. It has an ability called Landfall, where every time you drop a land, it gets bigger. So he's really useful in a red-green deck I can think about right now, because you drop him, you start dropping 2 lands a turn, which is helping your Chocobo get huge. And then once a turn, you're putting a land back in your hand, which means you can drop a land and put it back in your hand. You can infinitely drop lands. And so anything you have with landfall, and there's a lot of them, especially with Chocobos in the Final Fantasy set, that's a cool combination in the making right there. So that is why he is a very useful rare. Okay, we've got Gone, Town of Ruin. This is from 5. I remember Gone. Final Fantasy V. I've only played it once, and it was a long time ago, but I do remember it quite well. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. 7 Remake might have dethroned that. I think 16 is my favorite overall, but I haven't played a lot of Final Fantasy, so bear with me on that. Okay, Magitech Infantry. This is from Final Fantasy 15, the one I haven't played that I want to play. People say since I like 16, really need to get on that. It's a 1/1 robot soldier artifact creature for white. This is rare. Well, this is newer, actually. Not rare. Newer. This is a common card. Artifacts with colors is a newer concept that's only been in play for a few years. Back when I first started playing, artifacts would always be colorless. This creature gets +1/+0 as long as you control another artifact. Okay. And then you can pay 3 mana. You don't have to tap it or anything. You just pay 3 mana, search your library for a card named Magitech Infantry, put it in the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Okay, so you can have up to 4 in your deck at a time. There are some cards that say you can have as many as you want, but this one doesn't. So this means you can basically get all 4 of your Magitech armies on the board at a time, and then they're all 4 1s. Well, 5 1s once they're all out there. That can have a use case. It's a little expensive to bring it out, though, so that's why it's a common. Rydia's Return, sorcery, so it can only be played on your turn and not as a fast effect. Final Fantasy IV. It's 5 mana. That's pretty expensive for a green spell. Choose one. Creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Not important if you have 1 creature. Very important if you have like a dozen. Or you can return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Yet again, useful. That's really expensive for 2 permanents from your graveyard to your hand. Vane's Treachery, Final Fantasy 12. It has Kicker, which means you can pay that additional cost and it'll do something additional. So it costs 2 to bring out. It's an instant, so it can be played as a fast effect. If you sacrifice an artifact or a creature with it, you'll get the Kicker. Keep in mind that they will make you sacrifice the artifact or creature, then the spell can be countered and the creature still dies. So it's just the risk reward. So if you don't kick it, target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If the spell was kicked, that creature gets -6/-6 instead. -6/-6 will kill most creatures that exist in the game. Also, I gotta remember this. I don't think it would kill an indestructible creature. Even if their toughness goes down to 0, I don't think it kills them. But I could be wrong about that. We'll maybe get a chance to test that. Okay, here's our Moogles. Final Fantasy, let's see, 14. Moogles have been around for a long time, though. I want to say their first appearance was 4? Definitely by 6. But anyway, Cloudbound Moogle is 5 mana. 2 white, 3 colorless, 2/3 flying. It's a little expensive for a 2/3 flyer. No wonder it's a common. When this creature enters, it comes onto the board, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Okay, that's okay. There may be limited use cases for this, which is why it also has plane cycling, which means at any time while it's in your hand, you can pay 2 colorless mana, throw it to your graveyard, go find a plane in your deck, and put it on the board. So that can be... Oh no, put it in your hand, not on the board. Ugh. But yeah, that can be useful. Maybe there's reasons you want to discard. Black-white is a really popular combination for me. Oh. What do you like better from FF? Moogles or Chocobos? Scoop, I gotta go Chocobo. And I'll tell you why. It's completely nothing to do with FF. But I am curious to hear what you think. The reason why is because I've got 2 friends online. You might even know them. One is Chocobo Mosh Pit, and the other one is Chocobro. And thinking about the concept of a dude bro like a Chad Chocobo or like a Chocobo Mosh Pit is just fantastic to me. And I just love that they're big, like goofy looking birds, like dodos almost, and they've become like super popular, right? And they are the mode of transportation, right? They are the horses of the Final Fantasy universe. But all right, so we've got Judge Magister Gabranth from Final Fantasy 12. Legendary creature, so you can only have 1. He only costs 2 for a 2/2 menace, which means 2 creatures or more have to block him. That's useful right there, because early in the game, any 2 cast cost spells or something like that you'll rarely have 2 creatures on the board, and they probably don't want to block with them because you're going to kill at least one of them, if not both. Whenever another creature or artifact you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Judge, Magister, Gabranth. Okay, so his goal is for a deck where you're sacrificing creatures. Or you're sending creatures to the slaughter. That'll be significant because you can run out there, let him die, and then this guy gets bigger. And we got a mythic wild card. Boo. All right. I like Chocobos more like the dungeon version or tactics. Moogles are inconsistent and they're either cute or annoying. I'll give you that. Also, fun thing. It looks like... Okay, there we go. YouTube's not great. It's weird how like my viewers go up and down even to 0 and stuff like that. It's interesting. But I do know sometimes people have to reset the feed. Okay, so that was a boring rare. For those wondering, we will stop opening packs in 2 more packs. Vector, Imperial Capital, Final Fantasy VI. This is just... Dual lands are great, but I hate dual lands that come into play tapped. Even for the ones that do a special ability that are rare, they are rarely something that... like an ability that justifies coming into play tapped. Lands were meant to come into play untapped. Okay, so from Final Fantasy XIV, we've got a Namazu Trader, a fish citizen. 3/4 for 4. Okay, when this creature enters, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token. I think that's a fair trade-off, if you're down for it. When this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, surveil 2. Again, this goes into that one that we, with that other character we saw in the previous thing, the Gabranth. You can see where if you've got a way to create creatures, you can start sacking them every turn, which allows the trader to surveil, makes your Gabranth bigger. You can see how this all starts to come together. Dwarven Castle Guard, Final Fantasy IV, wouldn't have guessed 4. It's a dwarf soldier, 2/1, and when it dies, create a 1/1 colorless hero token. This, you can start to see where a black-white create creatures to sack creatures deck comes from. This guy is brought out only to either go into battle and be killed or to be sacrificed, and only to create another creature that can either go into battle to be killed or to be sacrificed. That's what these are. Sacrificial lambs for 2 mana. Scorpion Sentinel, Final Fantasy VII references I'll get every time. Artifact creature, 2 for a 1/4 robot scorpion. Little weak compared to what I would expect, although I guess Scorpion Sentinels didn't do that much damage. As long as you control 7 or more lands, this creature gets +3/+0. Okay, so later in the game, it's bigger. This is why it's a common. I realize I skipped some of these over here, so let's jump down to world map. 1 for a 1/1, or for an artifact. Pay 1 and sacrifice it, which means you can do all this early in the game. Search your library for a land, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. Okay, I see these values. 3 and tap, sacrifice this artifact. Search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. Wait a minute. So I can pay 1 to sacrifice it, find a basic land. Oh, basic land versus regular land. Okay, so for this is either you can pay 1 to go get a basic land, you can pay 3 to go get a specialized land. All right, Scoop asks, will these cards be able to play other regular cards and expansions, or is it like Lord of the Rings and special only to face each other? Nope, these fully integrate. These are, Lord of the Rings was that way, but no, this is a Universe Beyond like Lord of the Rings, but the new rule is from now on, Universe Beyond cards do get to play with other cards. So yes, you don't have to make a Final Fantasy only deck. These will integrate into regular decks. Here's an uncommon, the Choco Comet. 2 red and whatever we want to pay. It deals X damage to any target. That's a very common red spell. Create a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters, this token gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So, and again, Scoop, that's another reason why I think the Final Fantasy cards, the actual tangible cards, are super popular because they are tournament legal. So on top of everything else, they're tournament legal. Oh, what was the Choco Comet from? Final Fantasy 12. Shambling Seath, Final Fantasy 13. Mutant Horror, 3 for a 3/3. This creature enters tapped. I don't love that. Whenever you cast there are many creatures that will enter tapped. So does that mean SpongeBob cards can go against Final Fantasy cards? LOL. I don't believe there's a SpongeBob deck, and if there is, it was probably Universes Beyond before this. But if SpongeBob cards don't exist already and come out later, then yes. The exception being those weird like 5 card sets that they do called like the vaults and stuff. Those are usually not tournament legal. But a good example of this that I do know exists is later on we're going to get, what is it this year? Spider-Man and Naruto? those will all be able to intermix with normal Magic cards and this set. So, okay. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay a black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so this is a card, that's why it comes into play tapped. Because every time it dies, you can just keep bringing it back. You do have to pay to put it in your hand and then cast it again, but it can keep coming back. Oh, it came out in May. The SpongeBob's, let me look these up real quick. Sorry for the the side tangent, but I am curious about this. I'm going to guess SpongeBob may be, what is it called? Like Secret Vault? SpongeBob MTG. Secret Lair. Sorry, Secret Lair. So Secret Lair, no. Secret Lair cards like the My Little Pony cards and stuff like that, those are not tournament legal. You could probably find people who will let you play with them, but by and large, no, you can't. There are exceptions though, like it's possible that the SpongeBob cards are SpongeBob looking cards that are existing standard cards. Then those can work, and maybe that's what Secret Lair always is. Now that I think about it, if that's the case, sure. I don't know that those skins are in Arena. If they are, then sure. Here's Excalibur 2. I've gotten this already. Final Fantasy 9. It's it's an artifact. Whenever you gain life, put a charge counter on it, and then you can equip it to a creature for 3. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on it. So you make a big beefy creature as you gain life. White decks and green decks are really good at gaining life. There are exceptions in other decks, but yeah. Shar Yan, Final Fantasy 14, another dual land. I'll never use these, just so you know. Malboro, obviously Final Fantasy 15. Oh, wait, no, I was thinking 16. Huh. I knew Malboros existed before that, but anyway. Okay, so it's 6 for a 4/4. That's expensive. It's a plant horror, but it has the ability Bad Breath. When this creature enters an opponent, each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life, and exiles or removes from the game the top 3 cards of their library. That can be useful. It's not targeted, meaning you're not targeting anything specific, which is why I think it's less useful for 6 for a 4/4. But there are reasons you could value that. And then it's got swamp cycling, where you can just like ditch it and get a swamp instead. That's if you just are dying for lands and he's so expensive, you know he's not coming out. Here we go. This is so, do you see how this one says not legal? This is not legal in historic and traditional historic, which means it's legal in standard, like right now sets. You just can't play it in the big, grand historic sets, which is when you can play any of the sets that have come out in Arena together. This was a big one. This was from the original set. This is from the original Magic the Gathering set, Unlimited, Alpha Beta Unlimited, when I started playing. It's 2 blue, which is really cheap nowadays for a counter spell, and it counters a spell. Anytime somebody casts a spell, you pay 2 blue. Boop, that spell doesn't exist. I do love the huge Final Fantasy II full art, and I think the full art's only available in collector boxes for the tangible cardboard. Don't quote me on that though. Reno and Rude, of course, a Final Fantasy VII duo. They are a legendary creature, human assassin, 2 for 2/1. I always love cheap cards, meaning cards that are like less than probably 3 or 4 mana to come out that do something cool. So they are menace, which means they have to be, there's 2 of them, so they have to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. Whenever Reno and Rude deal combat damage to a player, so it hits the player, this incentivizes them to be blocked. Exile the top card of that player's library. Then you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, you may play the exiled card, and any mana of any type can be used to cast it. So what this basically means is you can steal cards from your opponent's deck and play them. And if you're not playing their color, you can use your colors to cast their cards. So for example, let's say Reno and Rude is what I saw and I wanted to cast it, and I'm not playing a black deck. I would just be forced to pay 2 mana of any type, and I could cast it. I have to. The reason this is not a rare and it's an uncommon, that's why the Final Fantasy logo is silver, is purely because you have to sacrifice a creature or artifact. Now, there's lots of decks that can crank per turn creatures and artifacts, so it's not that big of a deal. But you have to set all that stuff up and get it going. This card is 2. It's a second turn drop. It's not intended to take a long time. Final Fantasy VII, obviously. We've got Cloud Barrett and, oh my God. What is her name? It starts with a T. Tifa. I don't know why Tifa Lockhart missed me. But anyway, it's 4 for a sorcery. Choose one. Take the elevator. Create 3/1/1 tokens. There's reasons for that. Or take 59 flights of stairs. Tap up to 3 creatures and put a stun counter on one of them. Stun counter means when they're supposed to untap, you remove a stun counter instead. So it stops them. It kind of pulls them out of commission for a while. They can't attack or block. Common wild card. Here's Queen Braun from Final Fantasy IX. She is 3 for a 2/1. She's legendary and she has prowess, which means whenever you cast a non-creature spell, she gets beefier. She gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Whenever Queen Braun attacks, create a 0/1 black wizard creature with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this deals 1 damage to opponent. This is a death by 1,000 cuts creature. There's a lot of useful, not very useful by itself. You build a deck around it, very useful. But Toya, Archon Elder, Final Fantasy XIV, legendary creature, 3 for a 1/4. Whenever you scry or surveil, which means look at the top card of your library and either put it at the bottom or put it in the graveyard. Scry is put it at the bottom, surveil is put it in the graveyard, draw a card. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You can basically stack your deck and then you get to put a card in your hand. Again, not very useful by itself. Put it together in a deck with the right combinations, huge. Okay, so we've been streaming here for almost an hour. And what you say we play some games. So we're going to start with a basic game. We'll talk about some stuff. So I got trounced in this one, in my Jump Into Magic. This only costs 1,000 gold. It's great for beginners. You pick 2 different combinations, and it makes you a kind of custom deck, and you're only playing against other people with these combo decks. And this is Final Fantasy, so it gets us a good chance to look at the cards and get used to stuff. I choose a Devious Chocobo deck. It's black and green. So let's jump in here. Let's see if I can win a game, because I haven't so far. Playing against Cosmic Fox. Okay. I do love the Final Fantasy lands. I have not put those in my decks yet, but there's what a swamp looks like in a forest. Let's see what we got here. So we've got a lot of creatures we kind of saw already, like the Marlborough and the Dire Rat and stuff like that. So I can mulligan, and it's free, which means, oh, well, I won by default. That's no fun. I'm going to get a free card, which is probably a common or an uncommon. Nothing to write home about. But I do get the win stuff. Let's see what I claimed. What did they give me? Oh, it's not going to tell me till I claim it. There we go. And ooh, Rufus. Okay, Rufus is a legendary creature. Final Fantasy VII again. 3. 2/4. Whenever Rufus Shinra attacks, if you don't control a creature named Darkstar, create Darkstar, a legendary 2/2 white and black dog creature. The cool thing about this is if you can get Rufus to attack each turn, you can keep creating Darkstar, let Darkstar die by like blocking creatures or for various other reasons like sacrificing it, and then bring it back. All right, let's try this again. And actually, Scoop, while we're at it, let me know how loud this is, right? Like, if it's loud or not. For the record, when I started playing, I did not hear anything, but now it's making it. So tell me if the sound is balancing out well with my voice. The other thing is trying to figure out the best spot for my face to be. Let's see. Okay, we got the capital city town. We got greens. I have a Tonberry I want. Okay, screw it. We'll go with this one because we got a good combo with the Chocobo and ride the Shapoof. And I think we can see the board pretty well. But probably the best place to put me is up here. We'll see how this goes. Okay. Bring this out, and here's Zaz's Chocobo. So the Chocobo has landfall, so it gets bigger every time I drop a land. So, first thing I'll do is, well, yeah, I have to drop a land. But maybe I'll do the capital city. Sure, why not? Drop the capital city. It's going to get bigger. And then I've got the ability to either play a Tonberry or ride the Shapoof, which also gives me a 1/1 counter every time I drop a land. So very advantageous to drop lands. And of course I'll attack because They're not going to do anything to me. They've got a chocobo as well. I want to kill that chocobo. See what happens here. So we will drop the forest. Chocobo gets bigger. The Ride the Shapoof makes it even bigger. And then we can get the Tonberry out. And we'll send the Chocobro on over. Is he going to block it? I doubt it. I doubt he blocks it. And this is the thing where I wonder if they're... Okay. Okay, perfect. Sounds good so far. Okay, cool. This is one of those things where that guy took so long to decide whether to block it or not. It makes me wonder if he's either playing with someone else in the room or if he's playing with an app. I know there are apps out there. I don't want to jump to those conclusions or anything, but... Okay. Got that out there. Who do I want to make bigger? We'll make him bigger because he has first strike, which means he'll do his damage first before anyone else does, so you can kill off creatures. Okay, so search your library for 2 land cards or town cards with different names. Put them into the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. That'll bump up a lot of people. And then we've got Fang my Lassie. I think we do this one. So we will do a town. And... see what else we got here. Okay. So we'll do 2 separate towns. Pop those. This is going to bump up guys even more. Tonberry gets bigger. Chocobo gets bigger. And let's send a 7-8 their way. He'll probably block with the Dwarven Castle Guard. So Scoop's talking about it. He doesn't understand why people wouldn't just get good on their own merits. There's a bigger reason for this. You don't learn how to play, right? Like, you make foolish mistakes. And we're going to get to see throughout this game if this individual makes a foolish mistake, like a really foolish mistake, which is a telltale sign that they're using an app because they don't have the common sense to do certain things. I've got the jump on them for a lot of things, but this deck could have a lot of things in it. Oh, they're going to do the same. So their Chocobo is going to get cranked. They don't get to get cranked as much as I do. Their Chocobo gets cranked. So how big is it going to get? 5, 6. And you send both over. So do you see? Okay, they're stopping. Okay. So to me, I'm going to say maybe they've got it on their own merits. What does a fat Chocobo do? Create a 2/2 green bird token that whenever a land you control enters, this gets, okay. Then creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. This is how I will win the game. Because this turn, it's going to be a 4/4 that gets a 2/2 bird creature. But then my creatures are going to get trample, which means any excess damage, and he doesn't remotely have the blockers to back this, is going to be nailed to these people. So let's see what they do with this. I'm going to make this one bigger. And let's see what they do first, and then I'll decide what I want to do next. If they're smart, they'll block this. See, you've taken too long to think about this. Okay. I'm going to give this one the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say that person was seriously mulling it over. So bring this out. I'll get my little Chocobro. And yeah, you better kill this guy because I'm going to stomp the yard with you next turn. Like, they lose next turn. I don't mean to sound cocky, but I'm telling you. And this guy would be an idiot to attack because I'll block with this. It does its first strike. Oh, no, it doesn't have first strike. Ooh, nice. He did the 59 flights. That gets a nice from me. And I assume the Chocobro's coming over. I would be a fool not to block. Here's the problem. They didn't get rid of the fat Chocobo. Right? And so now everybody's got trample. When Aros Boku enters, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature opponent controls. Here's where I really mop the floor with him. So that means that this guy deals 4 damage and this guy deals 9 damage. So watch this. Targeted creature opponent controls. Right? And then here comes some tramplers. And see, it's this length to decide. I'm going to give them credit. They need to decide whether they're going to block or not. They should. They know it's good for them. They have no idea what I have in my hand, but I have nothing. But see, it shouldn't take this long to figure it out. You need to block or let them both through and take 9. I don't care. But you need to figure out which one you want to do. What does she do? Whenever she attacks, you remove a lore counter from each. Okay, there are no sagas in place, so that doesn't value anything. Okay, so she is essentially useless. Yeah, I'll give him credit there, but by now I know if I'm blocking or not. The only one of value would be the fat chocobo. I don't know. This is another thing that happens in Arena, which maybe is what's happening here. People walk away. They're hoping you won't sit in the game and wait for the timer to run down. This is like you were talking about, Scoop. You were asking me about this. This is the bad behavior you see from a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena players. They will do things to prevent an immediate loss. Tricky things. Pull their Ethernet cable out. Sit here and wait. So they made me wait, and I'm guessing they went AFK, away from keyboard. We'll see, though, and I'll keep this in my hand so they keep guessing what this is, because right now she's not worth anything on the board. Or poor sport. Yeah, sure. And there are a lot of people playing. Part of the reason that Magic the Gathering Arena is so cool that there's a lot of people playing is the same reason why it's a lot of frustration. I'm going to say this person AFK'd. They just walked away from their keyboard. They might even have the app do it for them. I've never played with the app, but this kind of reeks of the app. So in the meantime, I'll just play with my little chocobo over here. Just try to do that just so that they have to animate it on the other player's side. Sometimes I'll check like my deck and look at that happy corgi that I've got here. Unlike the lazy sleeping corgi that I've got in the back. But this can be a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena, is waiting around for, let's call a spade, poor sports. It's unfortunate. All right, let's win. Search your library for a basic card, put it in the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. When you search your library in this way, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay. Let's just add insult to injury. Whoa. Who gets a +1/+1? You do. And you do. And you get a +1/+1. And then when I attack with everything, they're not going to do anything. They're going to poor sport it up. We're going to wait for another minute while we wait for the timer to run down. And they lose. So I've won this game, essentially. A couple things I'll point out also if people aren't familiar with it. So over here on the left here, if you look, here's my timer. I've got 1 timeout. As a game goes on longer, you can bank up to 4 of these. This gives you a longer time to think about what you want to do. This person's at 0, and the reason why is it uses a timeout when you let your timer go down. So that's what's going on. Yeah, this person, I hate to be judgy, but this person's a full-bore poor sport. They're just hurt that they lost and they walked away from their keyboard or let their app continue playing, which is essentially the same as walking away from the keyboard. I didn't even get to kill them by beating them. I killed them by them running out of timeouts. Boo. Okay. So there's that one. We'll claim that. And for now, I'll just leave this open. All right, they're showing me packs. I don't think I want a pack or anything. Let's do a couple things real quick. Let's check the store. What are today's deals? These are skins. Not that interested in skins most of the time. We're gonna open a quick pack. I want to show you guys what a gold pack looks like. It's been a while since I've opened one of these myself. You have to buy 10 normal packs to get a gold pack, so that's why they can be significant. All right, this is from the Dragon set, the previous set that I have like 23 packs of. It's 4 for a 4/4 flyer, which is good, and it's ward, which means if you cast a spell on it, in order for that spell not to be countered, you have to discard a card. And you can cast it as a spell before you play it as a creature, which is called Exude Toxin. You pay black and X colorless for a sorcery, which means it has to be played on your turn and not as a fast effect. Each non-dragon creature gets -X until end of turn. So you kind of wipe the board, and then you cast this creature. Good rare. These are all going to be rares or mythics. Next is from Final Fantasy VII, Vincent Valentine. Okay. He is 4 to come out. 2 black, 2 colorless for 2/2 legendary creature assassin. I love assassins. This is why I want the Assassin's Creed set. You know what, Scoop? Why don't I just come out to where you are and we'll meet up at like a restaurant or bar that is appropriate for this, and we'll just like open a bunch of Assassin's Creeds and like play games. Probably don't have to go all the way out to your neck of the woods for that, but that's awesome. That's this kind of stuff that Agent Gren likes to do, which is fun. Anyway, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters on Vincent Valentine equal to that creature's power. Okay, so you want to pop this guy on the board and then start killing off creatures without using him. Whenever Vincent Valentine attacks, you may transform it. Transform means turn it into this Galilean beast, which makes him a 3/2 trample. We saw the effects of trample. And lifelink, which means any damage he deals, I gain in life. And when it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped, front face up. Okay. You turn him into a werewolf, you do a bunch of damage, then you flip him back to Vincent Valentine. You expect him to die in combat. That's kind of cool. Mother effing Kefka, huh? Final Fantasy VI, baby. The Court Mage. So Kefka is a red, black, and blue. Black is demonic. Red is offensive. Blue is illusionary or delusion. When you put a black and blue deck together, it is called a bruised deck, which is all about deception. When you add red into it, black, red, and blue was one of my favorite combinations the first time they introduced multiple colored cards like this. They call them at the time they were legendaries. They were gold, and they were from the set Legends, one of the first expansion sets. It's expansion set number 4, actually. 3, 4? Arabian Nights, Antiquities, and then I think Legends. Anyway, so he is 5 for a 4/5. Not bad. Whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. That's crazy. Then you draw a card for each type among those discarded this way. Okay, so you pop Kefka out. You discard a card. Everybody else discards a card. Usually it's 1-on-1, so somebody else does. And then you draw 2. Oh my goodness. Sorry to hear. I was just... it depends on what you were talking about. I was either talking about how I love Assassins and we should play some Assassin's Creed, Magic the Gathering, but we've got to get in the same area for it. Or I was talking about Kefka. And so if you get Kefka on the board, you've already paid 5. But once you get to turn 8, each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice. Transform Kefka. Okay. And you can only do this during your turn as a non-fast effect. Okay. So Kefka transformed Ruler of Ruin. Anybody who's played the game remembers when Kefka transforms. They now become a 5/7 flying, and whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. So if Kefka can get through, or even if you have a spell that just does damage, you draw a bunch of cards. Having a bunch of cards in your hand is very advantageous. Mistress Village. This is from the Dragon set. It's a land. It enters tapped unless you control a mountain or a forest. So this is intended for tricolored decks, which is really useful because Final Fantasy has a lot of tricolor cards, such as Kefka, we just saw. So this can be very useful. It's originally intended for a blue, red, and green deck, thus the blue plus mountain or forest. But if you had it in a blue, red, and black deck, This can be very useful also because it's pretty likely you'll have a mountain on the table. So you can either add a blue, like always, or you can pay 1 blue and tap it, and the next spell you cast this turn can't be countered. That can be very useful against decks like I like to play, which are blue decks with lots of counter spells. Here's Tigrim, Master Opportunist. This is from the Dragon set as well. Legendary creature, human monk, 2 for a 2/2, and it has Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Suspend says at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last one's removed, you may play this card without paying its mana cost. If it's a creature, it has haste. So this means whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you get a copy of it and you put it in wait to later cast it. Again, this is a crazy card if you build a deck around its mechanic. And there's Lightning, baby! Final Fantasy 13, obviously. 1 red, 1 white, 1 colorless. First strike, trample, lifelink. Lifelink and first strike are extremely common among red and white cards. She's a 3/2 for 3. That's good. She has Stagger. Whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double damage. So what she does is she comes over there, she smacks the player, and then you can do more damage later. That's doubled up. Okay, I got it now. I want to open 1 Tarkir pack. I won't go over explaining this one because it's not what we're here for, but I want to see what these are for. Okay, we've got a Jean. Globe for 3. Each dragon you control gets a +1/+1 counter when they enter. So that's when they come into the game. Cruel Truths. Surveil 2. Draw 2 cards. You draw 2 life. An Ogre for 3 that's 3/3. When this enters, it deals 5 damage to target creature and opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Basically, you smack around a player that was dealt damage this turn. This is for a white, black, or green deck, but you can substitute 2 colorless mana if you lack one of those colors or multiple of those colors. When this creature enters or dies, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Useful, but I see why it's a common. Humbling Elder, 1 for a 1/2. Flash, which means it can come out on your opponent's turn, which is why it's useful. When it enters, -2/-0. Fresh Start, 2 for a 1/1 flash again. Enchanted creature gets -5/-0 and loses all abilities. That's how you like screw over what they think is a power card, like the Chocobo, and then make it nothing. Nature's Rhythm, 2 green, X colorless. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put it into the battlefield. That's the significant part. And then shuffle. So what that means is if you know you've got a killer creature that you want to get on the board, you cast this spell and you just do it. And then it has Harmonize. Harmonize I'm not familiar with. You may cast a card from your graveyard for 4 green and X colorless. You may tap a creature you control to reduce that amount, where X is the creature's power, then exile the spell. Okay. So what that means is you play Harmonize from your graveyard to go get a creature a second time. That's cool. Okay, so let's see. Let's do a check on where we are with everything. We're a little over an hour and 15 minutes into the live stream. We'll see how long we go with this, but one thing I definitely want to do is let's do a draft, right? I like the drafts. I like talking about the drafts. So let's do a draft. We're going to start with just the basic draft. This is the quick draft. This is the one where you're not picking with other people, but you are playing other people. I do keep all these cards, but my draft is mine and mine alone. So I paid the 5,000 gold. Okay, now I get to look at all these cards and I have a limited period of time to pick which card I want. So Von Street Thief. Okay, 2/2 for 3. Whenever one or more scouts, pirates, and or rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, exile that card and you may cast it. If you don't, you get a treasure token. When you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1. Okay, so this is all about scouts, pirates, and rogues. So this would be if you want to do a scout, pirate, or rogue deck. Squall, Seed Mercenary. 4 for a 3/4, black white. This will lock me into a black white deck. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike, which means first strike and regular strike. Whenever Squall deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card with mana value of 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this means, do I want to make a pirate deck that includes red? A pirate, scout, or rogue deck? Or do I want to bank on Squall alone? It's my experience it's good to have themes, and since I don't know this set very well, let's go with this one. We're going to go with Von Street Thief. We know we're going to make at least red, and it's my recommendation with these drafts to stick to only 2 colors. So now what I want to do is start looking for pirates, scouts, and rogues. So let's see. You can kind of see them right here on the cards. I do not have a pirate, scout, or rogue. Next up, look at the uncommons of the same color. Target creature you control deals X damage to any other target and X damage to itself, where X is its power. That can be advantageous if you have a creature that has a larger toughness than power. Beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's an artifact or creature card, you may reveal it. I have unlimited time on this one because I'm not playing with other people. If I was playing with other people, this would be limited timed. So upkeep is right before you draw your card and before your main phase. Look at the top card. If it's an artifact or creature card, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. If you put a card into your hand this way, create a food token and transform this enchantment to a land that gives you a white, and you can sacrifice an artifact to put a +1/+1 counter. Okay. This would be more useful if I could do it every turn. This is less useful because it becomes a land and I lose that ability. So for right now, and what is this one? When this aura enters, tap it, and it doesn't untap. Okay. Nothing's blowing up my skirt here, so I'm going to do self-destruct. Seems like the safest out of these options. Okay, remember, I am looking for scouts, pirates, and rogues. Not a scout, pirate, or rogue. See, herein lies some of the gambles. There's no scout, pirate, or rogue. Got a Moogle here. 4 for a 3/2 flying. When this creature enters, search your library or graveyard for an artifact card with mana value of 2 or less. Reveal it and put it in your hand. If you search your library in this way, shuffle. Okay. What about these guys? 3 for a 2/3. Whenever this creature or another creature controls dies. Okay, death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. This destroys things. We've already used that one. Let's look at Call the Mountain Chocobo. Search your library for a mountain card. Reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle. Create a Chocobo. Okay, and then we can play it from our graveyard. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put them in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. Here's our fish. Syncopate, counter target spell unless its controller plays X. If that spell is countered in this way, exile instead of your owner's graveyard. We got a plant beast that's not very useful. Okay, so Von Street Thief wants, sorry, I have to keep looking. Scouts, pirates, and rogues. Thinking myself through, pirates, blue, red, and black. Rogues, black, blue, and red. Scouts, green, red, something else. So I want to either go black, red, or blue. And what's intriguing me with these so far? This is where you got to guess. You really have to guesstimate. I love counter spells. It would be kind of fun to do that one, but I don't expect blue to be where I end up. I'm going to risk it and say it's going to be black. It doesn't matter. I don't have to play these cards. Okay. You draw a card, lose life, and then on the 4th turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice and loses 3 life. Interesting. Very expensive. 6 is very expensive. Let's see. Still no rogues or anything. We know the Fat Chocobo. That one was fun. We know the Moogle. We know the Bot. We do have this guy. Well, what's a legendary coup? If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a frog creature. Since I don't know what I'm going to get eventually, let's go with that and see where my rogues and stuff come from. Okay. Am I correct? Still no scout, pirate, or rogue. Okay. Learning my lesson here. But we've got some cool new stuff. So if I wanted to go, black and green would be going against my original deck. That's a lot to set up. This one looks more probable because it's black and red, so I can do that. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, surveil 1, and return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's 2 for a 3/2, and then I transform it once it has all those. Flying, when chaos dies, put on the bottom of its owner's library. And this is chaos. This is Garland into chaos, which is the entire Final Fantasy 1 arc. 2 suplex deals 3 damage to a target. That creature would die this turn. Exile instead, or exile an artifact. I like that a lot, and I still don't know where my deck's at. So because I can't be definitive, I'm going to go that route. Have I still not found a scout or anything? Okay, here's the Phantom Train from 6. Sacrifice another artifact or creature, and it becomes the train. Okay. That one's not worth it right off the bat. Elemental, whenever you cast a spell, if at least 4 mana was spent on it, put a counter on this creature. Okay. Sacrifice this creature. Does damage to the target. I'm leaning to black now. Let's see where this goes. Whenever... Okay, so here's Barrett. 4 for a 4/4 reach, which means he can block flying creatures. Whenever it attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control to defend player. I'm not going to have a lot of equipment in this one. I can just tell you right off the bat. Vincent's Limit Break. Vincent from Final Fantasy VII. It's tiered, which chooses 1 mode and pay its additional cost. Okay, so I pay 2, and I can either... Until end of turn, target creature you control gets, when this creature dies, returned to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control and has the chosen base power and toughness. So it either comes back as a 3/2, a 5/2, or a 7/2, depending on what I pay for it. I can see the use case for that. Let's go with Barrett. He's a good card, even if I don't use it. Ha! Fair enough. All you can think of is Garland and Strangers, Strangers in Paradise, yeah. Okay. The Cacatuar is fun. At the beginning of your end step, if this creature didn't enter the battlefield this turn, return it to its hand so it runs away. Return 2 creatures. Got a giant here for 6. Trample and haste. That's too expensive for what it is. Locke is cool from Final Fantasy VI. He's 3 for a 2/3 death to life link, and when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. I love all this, but I'm not going to play 2 new colors. What is the Mysidian Elder? When this creature enters, create a black wizard. So this is the death by 1,000 cuts thing, but it's a common. Don't know what to do in this case, so I'll grab the Cacatuar. Okay, so we've got 6. This creature can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. That's huge. Return this creature from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped with a finality counter, which means when it dies the second time, it dies for good. Instant Ramen. Final Fantasy 15, I figured. 2, flash, I can play it at any time. When it enters, draw a card. Sacrifice it, you gain 3 life. That's a kind of throwaway card, but it's probably useful for me. We got the job system card, but I don't love it. I'm going to grab this one. We're back around. Okay, so that makes monks. Vaughn didn't care about monks. This is something I can use. Whenever you attack, target attacking equipped creature. No, screw that. Okay. Go back. Grab that. Guess we'll grab the Chocobo. Luckily, red is not a popular color this round, you can tell. So I pay 2. Equipped creature, as whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this gets bigger and is a wizard in its other types. Wizard's not what I need. When this land enters, you gain 2 life. I don't need that. But black and red may very well be my colors, so I guess I'll grab those. Then add 1, mill 2 cards. Sacrifice this land and return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand. I don't think I'll use it, but I'll take it. And the fun Blazing Bomb. All right, now start over with new packs, and here we go. Here's where Human Mutant Wizard, it's Kuja from Final Fantasy 9. So it's 4 for a 3/4. At the beginning of your end step, create a black wizard. Then if you control 4 more wizards, transform it into a 4/6 with Flare Star. If a wizard you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, deals double instead. Grabbing that one. That's ideal for this pseudo deck I'm putting together that is not the strongest of my decks by far. Here's Golbez, and how about that flippin' art? How many mana do they give you for these drafts? You get as many lands as you want. You're gonna do probably 17, 18 in a 40 card deck. So it's a legendary creature, Human Knight. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into the graveyard from anywhere, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, he deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can pay 2 to make them mill a card. That one's cool, and I think I'm going to steal it just to steal it. But that one's cool. Like, I want it, right? I want it in my deck. Oh, it's Seer Conrad the Grim. Yeah, do you see how it's like a different take on Seer Conrad the Grim? Anyway, okay. So let's see what we got here. Looking again for rogues, scouts, and man, I can't get a break. Vaughn is useless. He has become useless. Scouts, pirates, or rogues. Let's see here. So now we got to go black and red. Thunder Magic deals 2 damage to a creature, or I can pay 3 colorless extra to deal 4, or I can play, oh, it's Thunder, Thundara, Thundaga. Nice. That's cute. So what I think I'm going to do is the Mysidian Elder, because that will work well with Kuja. But you never want to build a deck around this stuff when it's a draft. Just to keep in mind. Okay, create a treasure token. Sephiroth's Intervention. 4 mana to destroy a creature. I'll do that. There's the Phantom Train, but I already have one. Sorceress Schemes from Final Fantasy VIII. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard or exile card with flashback you own to your hand. Add a red. Interesting. So this lets me get spells back. Discard a card to draw 2 cards. Suplex we've already seen. Sure. Not loving these picks, to be honest. At this point, you just like add stuff you think you'll care about. Ugh, so weak. Sure, I'll steal the robot. Why not? I'm never going to use it, but sure. Opera Love Song. That one was a big one. I'll take that one. Not that I necessarily intend to use it, but... Elixir, what does this do? So it's 1, it enters tapped, sacrifice it, shuffle all non-land cards from your graveyard into your library. You gain life equal to the number of cards done in this way. I like that. Poo Poo UFO from Final Fantasy VIII. It's 2 for a 0/4 flying. You can tap it to put a land card from your hand into the battlefield. Till end of turn, this creature's power becomes those. Nope. Go with the world map. There's obviously a lot of fans of black in this draft. Okay. Give me the train again, and I'll take a mountain. Okay, starting town. This land enters tapped unless it's your first, second, or third turn of the game. Add a colorless or pay 1 life and add a mana of any color. That can be useful, not necessarily for me in this draft. So let's see what else we've got. That's too expensive for me to like it. Freya Crescent. 1 for a 1/1. During your turn, Freya has flying. Add a red. Spend this mana only for equipment. 3, target opponent sacrifices a creature, and you create a black mage. I like black mages, so that might be tempting. Look at this one. That's cute, and I really love getting the alt art. But I don't think I'm going to give away a play for that. Kind of like the Cornered by Black Mages. Let's go with Starting Town. It's got a bigger use case. Overkill. Target creature gets 0 minus 999 until end of turn. That makes sense. As overkill. Still no flipping rogues or anything. Okay, I'll grab that one. Yee. Maybe a dire rat? And we'll go with these guys, I guess. Ooh, there's another Starting Town. Somebody else didn't like it. I don't see a whole lot more that's intriguing me, so. Here we go. When this enchantment enters, destroy up to 1 target creature. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under opponent's control this turn, create a treasure token. Then if you control 3 or more treasures, flip this to become Yasmat from Final Fantasy XII. Sacrifice another creature or artifact. Gains indestructible. Tap it, and it's a 5/6. That seems cool and fun, but so does Choco Comet. It's way cheaper. Let's see what my breakdown is. 8 black, 12 red. Okay. It was out of necessity. Love Judge Master. Okay. So 2 for a 2/1 reach, and whenever I drop a land, it does damage. Or 3 for a flying death touch. I sacrifice creatures to draw a card. Sure. Weak. Really loved that guy in my other deck. Okay, I have nothing I want here, so I'm going to steal it just so I've got it. Sure, fish trader. Black mage creator. Sure. Equipment. Bunny. There we go. Okay, so here's where we make the deck. Try to make this quick. I like to take everything out of the deck and build it slowly. So I know I want him. I know I want this. Elixir was good. Now let's go back. Yep. 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 Whoop. Yep. Yep. Okay, let's go with 8 red. Almost useless. But we'll put him in there because he's useful looking. I was worried about the bomb. Sure, we'll use that. Since Barrett uses equipments, we'll look into using equipments. Yeah. Think about mountains and swamps. Okay. We'll go this route and see how it does. Oh. I don't have 40. How do I not have 40? Huh. Must have misread that. Okay. So. One. Sure. 2. 3. And oof. I have a lot of sleeves. Clearly. Let's throw a cloud. And go back. And let's play a turn finally. Let's see how I do. And I think just given the day and stuff like that, we'll probably play this, open a couple of packs, and then probably call it a day. So, probably another 20 minutes. Don't love those, so I'm going to mulligan. Okay, better. Better. Don't have a black, so that's the first one to go. Ooh, already? There we go. Semi-expected. Okay. Everybody's got their ways of getting a treasure token, bro. Don't worry about it. Oh, come on. You don't have to be a dick just because you're... There we go. Nice. Nice, nice. What's he gonna kill? He's gonna kill something. You can tell. Oh, he's gonna go catch a fish. Okay. He didn't reveal it. Dog's going crazy, so I'm guessing... I'm guessing someone may have dropped a package at the door. He doesn't get how it works. Okay. Mild patience for the people who are figuring out how it works. Okay, so this could be fun. Start this way. Actually, now that I think about it, okay, so let's see what he does this way. I'm gonna send something out to die. See what they do. Okay, they knew not to touch it. There we go. There's a transformed wizard. So no matter what they do, okay, whenever one or more creatures dies. All right, so what I'm going to do is kill this guy off and deal 6 damage to the opponent. Let's see if this works. Whatever happened there was not what I expected. I thought he was 4-6. I thought he would survive. I don't know what the fuck just... whoa, sorry, didn't mean to swear. Yeah, and X damage to itself. Why did it die? Interesting. Okay, well. Let's send Red Rover on over. All right, let's see if I win this way. Do I win this way? I do. No, because it only does... Yeah, it only does 1 damage. I still have no idea why he died. He's supposed to deal... Wait. If a wizard you control would deal damage, he's a wizard. That's why it's doubled. Jeez Louise. Flippin'. Let's see if I can win this way. Nah. Because he'll block the other 2. Okay, I guess he doesn't understand how that works. Yeah, what's up, Fort? Yeah. The FF cards are in Arena, which is the only way there. I guess I would say the only way we can, like, truly play them without paying a arm and a leg. Okay, he's got a robot creature, which I don't care about. There you go. Okay. See if we can finally win this game. Nope, we can't because they keep making flipping. Okay. Well, we'll send this person over. Let's see if he wants to send it to die or not. What are you going to do? What are you going to have block it? Okay. Boop. End of story. There we go. That's a fun little thing. Oh, and he gave up. Yeah, this is the nature of the beast with Final Fantasy. So what do you mean by like the set in general, or like every set has a very good set of usable cards, and I did get a win there with no losses, so I'm doing pretty good. Every set has value, in my opinion, and if you ignore them, then you know it's your call, but you're really walking away from a useful card that will ultimately make a decent deck for you. Whether you use solely, I rarely see you using solely one set, but yeah, there's lots to love here. Let's see, where are we at? Let's wrap up. About 10 minutes left. Trying to figure out if I should wrap up with another game or open. Let's wrap up with some packs and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, the sets, I can tell you Final Fantasy is a good set. It's already popular enough. It's a good set. There's going to be some cool stuff to do, but so what I'm going to do real quick is after this week, I'm going to try to do a live stream next week again. And I'll pre-schedule that and talk about it on the show. But, yeah, you're right for it. But like, for example, what's going to come out next, I forget the set name, but Wizards is going real basic. I think they're so busy counting money on Final Fantasy that they're not paying attention. And so there are some kind of like throwaway sets. But you're right. Even in the throwaway sets, even in back in the day, the big throwaway sets were Fallen Empires and Homelands. Even then, there were sets, or there were decks based off of like the Evan Praetor and the Breeding Pit and various other cards that totally made like that one or two cards made that set worth existing, if I may put it in a horrible way. So we shall see. But yeah, there's plenty to do with the Final Fantasy stuff. And so what I'm going to do leading into next week's stream is I'm going to actually have some decks that integrate Final Fantasy, some brand new decks, brand new mechanics to introduce, and we'll go run out and play them, and we'll get to do some fun stuff. And yeah, my interest in Final Fantasy 7 and the previous ones will definitely come into play. We'll do some fun stuff that are about like, you know me, I like weird mechanics and stuff. So we'll play around with a lot of these. Will these sets pay for FF7 Remake Part 3? You'll have to ask Square, but probably the right answer is yes, but they're going to blame anyone but themselves for that game, for whatever reason, underperforming what they expect. I'm a cynic, I know. Okay, let's look at some of these cards and then we'll wrap up. I'll play around. Anyone out there, though, who wants to write in, you can either use the comments on the YouTube. You can do contact@gaminghistory101.com or hit me up, Spidersvenom, SPYDERSVENOM, on any of the socials, Blue Sky, X, whatever, Twitter. I should stop calling it X. I hate that name. But yeah, you can hit me up and tell me, like, if there are cards you know about or games in the Final Fantasy universe or sets that you're interested in that you'd like to see integrated into it. Otherwise, I'm going to come up with like 3 or 4 fun decks to play around with. We're going to do a little less drafting and a lot more like playing around with pre-constructed decks that I play around with. Okay, Solemn Simulacrum. I know this one. 4 for a 2/2. It's all about grabbing lands and drawing. It's an okay rare. Thunder of Unity from the Dragon set. 3 black, red, white. You draw 2 cards. Whenever a creature you control enters this turn, opponent loses life. Okay, this is for cranking creatures. If you know you're going to crank out a bunch of creatures, do that. Okay, so this is the racing one that no one likes, but I've made like a killer deck out of for it. Okay. Scoop says, would you tweak any of your current decks and currently use? Absolutely. So he's asking, would you just throw in some FF cards to tweak your current decks? Absolutely. In fact, I will absolutely have done that by next week. So we will delve a lot into the deck constructing stuff. The reason I don't do it on the stream is because it's really boring watching someone think and plan for like 3 hours. But I will do it, and I'll show off those decks and how I did it. Fort likes big swords and birds. I hope you're ready, sir. And I know you don't really care, but I'm going to make a big swords and birds deck just because you said that. Okay, cool. He does some stuff. This one's a dick card. Yeah, you drop it on the first turn. Everything comes into play tap that your opponent creates, and you gain a life off of it. So you make cards that trigger abilities based off of gaining life. You might have like a little lion that becomes a big lion and stuff like that. I can get around this deck, but this is a fun, annoying card. Zeldinked, the guy who screwed me royally for having no... Oh, wait. No, this is a different one. Okay, he's the land one. He's the Choca-Bro deck. Absolute Virtue. 8, so it's way too much. Can't be countered, though, and it's an 8/8. It flies. You have protection from each of your opponents. Okay. Yes, exactly. Thank you, sir. You gave me a gimmick deck idea, and I'm going to make a deck off of those gimmicks. All right. Pagan Ritualist. Samurai Douche Goblin. Zombie Snake Druid. It's hard to be those 3 things at once. Marshal of the Lost. Black, white, 2, 3/3 death touch. Whenever you attack, target creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So this is an ambush deck card. Got a weird camel bird. It's called a pack beast. It's cheaper if you have a bunch of creatures. You can exile cards. Here's our little dragon. He's 6 for a 6/5. Flying Vigilance Trample. This creature is hex-proof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. Okay, I see why it's an uncommon. And Philothin, Dawn of the Abzan. 3 for a 3/3 trample. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay, so that's for like, you have an army. This creature drops out as your leader. You sack one thing, you make everything bigger. Got it. Whoa, Absolute Virtue. FF 11 deep cut. Yeah, there you go, right? Turtle. Dragonback Lancer. Wild cards. There you go. Here's a little dog scout Khajiit thing. Well, I guess a Khajiit's a cat, but whatever. Lightfoot Technique. Another one of these dragons. And, ooh, look at that absolutely hideous creature. It's a vampire. 3 for a 3/3. This is my jam. This is a card I would use in a deck. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. So it flies. If it damages anything, I gain life off of it, and it kills whatever it touches. Whatever it damages, even if it doesn't kill it with damage. And Renew. For 3, I can exile this card from my graveyard, put a flying counter, a death touch counter, and a lifelink counter on target creature. So I can basically give its abilities to another creature if I will sack it from the graveyard. Cool stuff. All right. Well, with that, yeah, I think we're going to call it to a close. Or do I want to play one more game? Okay. If you guys are hanging in here, I'm going to play one more game in the draft. Let's see if this deck is any good. I don't know if it is. We're going to play one more game and call it to a close. But we shall see. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, especially Scoop and Fort, for getting involved in the chat and telling me what you think and things like that. Like I said, I'm going to try to do next week. I think Saturday's in the cards. Let's take a look. Maybe, maybe not. We shall see. It'll either be Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Okay. So we got enough lands. That creature's goofy. Elixir, I don't even think I care about. Do I mulligan or do I roll with it? I think I'll roll with it. Yeah, let's roll with it. Here's a Choka Bro. This guy's going to come out first turn because it's the only time where that's useful. Oop, what's this do? Mill 5 cards. I can wait. You get a red mage, which anyone who plays Final Fantasy knows that dog don't hunt, but whatevs. Nice little hero wizard here. What you gonna do with your red-blue deck? Oh, okay. It's going for that. And I'm gonna expect the item shop keep is coming my way. And you didn't even choose to discard a card. Why'd you cast it then? The heck, bro? Okay, we'll have some fun in this way. I think we're going to overkill it. Yeah, they've got no land or anything, so we'll overkill that. We'll make it bigger. Smack! 3 life. Yeah, we need Fort to just be here and give lore. He says, the mage's red mage's rapier, probably an FF 14 thing. Actually, it'll tell me. Oh, it's in the lore. We don't have the lore in front of us in the mid game. Yeah, that one. I actually think the overkill was. Yeah, you're right. There's Titus. Yeah. Okay. Bring this one out. And we'll cast a non-creature spell. And... Shrek. Right, there's a lot of references. You should come for the next one. I got 50 more packs or something to open a Final Fantasy. And I need to go faster through them. They tell what games they're from and stuff like that. So if you want to, come next week. I'll open at a much faster clip than I have been. Here's a job. When this creature attacks, untap target attacking creature. Okay. You sent a 2/2. I'm in. Oh, cool. Sephiroth. Sephiroth. Yeah, we'll just keep this S show going. What do they do next? Ooh, I'm gonna regret not doing something with that. Here's the gold saucer. He doesn't know I don't have anything. Nice. I have still yet to get into the Yakuza games. I've played the original, but yeah. Okay, so he gets a 1/1 creature. Oh no, he draws 2. Shuffle your library, mill 4 cards. Put each creature mill... Ooh, they gain haste. And they go to their owner's hand. Okay. Did he not get any creatures? That's wild. Yeah, here's where I start getting rocked. Yeah, attack with something. Go ahead. Seriously? I'm very curious what he's planning to do. Does he not know what that means? Maybe he doesn't know how the cards work. Didn't win that one. So you mentioned the Shin Megami Tensei themed expansion. There's I think a Naruto set coming later. Keep forgetting what this is supposed to be. But that would kind of explain it. Well, okay. So definitely trying to overwhelm me with creatures. That much is true. It's working. What do I do? Got a lot of problems here. All right, let's go for it because of my circumstance. I think this guy's got me. But we'll see. Why would you not do this creature? That's weird. Huh. That's weird to me. Which one are you going to pick? Pick one. Come on, man. Just don't pick this one. Whatever you do, don't pick this one. What you gonna do? Okay, I guess we'll be here all day while they try to pick it. Why is it always the last game? So it's Avatar. It's not Naruto. My bad. Avatar The Last Airbender is the final set of the year. November 21st, 2025. We get Spider-Man, and the next one coming up is Edge of Eternities, which is a space opera, but a lot of people are talking smack on it. Am I really going to win because he stopped playing? I don't want to get too excited, but oh my god, how wild and fun and stupid is this if I win this way? Anarchy override. I don't expect to, but wow, wouldn't this be crazy? This is where Arena baffles me. It's all licensing agreements. Wizards, I'm sure, has these talks, but like all this stuff is like really old. Chocobo, chocobo. Seriously. Seriously. There's no way. Did you figure it out yet, bro? Oh, he finally figured it out. You son of a punk. He walked away. Okay, so I just want people to know. He walked away from this game for that long. Like, what are people even doing? Okay, so I need to pray. And I don't think this is going to help me. So let's try it. That is not going to help me at all. I'm dead in the water here, guys. Wow. Saddest loss of all time. All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you all for coming out. This was a fun time. Final Fantasy. Let's see the final count. I've got a ton of packs left to open, so I can really get embedded in this deck, or in this set. But I got 50 packs of Final Fantasy left to open, 20 of Tarkir, and 3 golds. So when we come back next week, I'll have some preconceived decks ready to go. We'll just hit the ground running with some decks. We'll do some pack openings, and yeah, it should be fun. So thank you for joining me, especially, like I said, Fort and Scoop. But anyone out there who's watching this or anything like that, till next week, cheers and have a good one.